Hey everybody, maybe you're coming to the Philippines and you want to have a Philippine bank account. Maybe you want to have your Social Security check deposited directly into a bank here in the Philippines so you can avoid all the hardships and the inconvenience of having it being deposited in an American bank and having it sent over here to you. Well, there's a lot of pros and cons about that. We'll talk about that, and there's more cons than there are pros. But let's talk about opening a bank account here in the Philippines. So you're here in the Philippines, you can't open a bank account until you get your ACR card. You're going to have to get that, so you're going to have to be here at least 60 days to 90 days to even attempt to open up a bank account. But every bank is different. They need to show some sort of residency here. Every branch is different. I'm going to recommend, and I use BDO. Let me make that perfectly clear. I use BDO Bank. They've been good to me. I have no problems with them. A few other guys in town use China Bank. There's a lot of good banks here in the Philippines, but stay with the major banks. Don't go to these little province banks to open a bank account. They do have a set of guidelines, what you need to open a bank account. You need to have that ACR card. You need to have a valid visa, and you need to have a permanent address or a Philippine address. And I'm not talking about your hotel room address. You have a lease somewhere. And when I opened up my bank account, this is back when they were doing 6-month visa extensions. So I went in there with the fresh stamp. You know, I just got my extension. I had 6 months to go. I had my ACR card, and I also took with me my 2-year lease on the house that I was renting, and that helped a lot. So take whatever lease you have. It's going to have the address on there. The bank manager or whoever's helping you, they're going to see exactly where you live, and they get a better feeling that you're going to be part of the community and you're going to be here for a while. You're not just here quickly and leaving. They go by the same rules in the US as you got to know your customer. And every branch is different. Every branch manager, one bank will accept you, another bank won't. Be prepared to be there for 1 or 2 hours to go through everything. I remember signing my name so many times on so many documents, and it took hours for me to get the bank account open. Then I had to come back the next day to get the passbook and everything else involved with the bank. They do have minimum requirements. If you're opening up a peso account, that's a 10,000 peso minimum deposit required. And I believe if you're opening up a dollar account, there's about a $400 or $500 US minimum balance to open it up. And don't be surprised if you go in one day and they say no, and you go into the same bank 2 weeks later and maybe talk to a different teller or a different person to help you, and then they approve you. Things change by the individual who's waiting on you. I've had many conversations with people where I believe if we walked into the bank with the exact same documents, there's a chance you'll be approved and I'll be denied. So you got to have patience, try more than one bank, keep at it until you finally get a bank account open, and don't be afraid to ask the question, why did you say no to me? What am I missing? And maybe it's just a letter, a utility bill, some sort of document you need to help you get that bank account open. The bigger banks offer online banking, and they all have banking apps that you can have put onto your phone. I'll open my laptop, I'll click on BDO, I'll get on their website, I'll enter my password, and then they'll send me a one-time password also through my phone, and I'll enter that, and then I'll have access to my account. So the online banking is really easy. It's easy to check your balance daily if you want, or every other day. They also have the apps on your phone. You know, you can have that on your phone and you can check your balance and everything on the phone. It's very similar to an American banking system. With the bigger banks, not with the smaller banks, but with the bigger banks, I feel very comfortable with them. Do I trust the Philippine banks to have money transferred directly into my Philippine bank account? Of course I do. That's where I have all my money transferred. I use World Remit. It's a third-party service. I transfer money from, say, my Wells Fargo account. I'll use my debit card from Wells Fargo. I'll transfer it over to World Remit, and then World Remit will transfer it over to my Philippine bank. right into my account. And usually once I'm done entering everything and click send, within 1 or 2 minutes, I have access to that money. And I mean access where I can go right to the ATM machine, put my card in and take the money out. It is instant. It's a great way to transfer money, easy way to do it. But before you leave your home country, make sure you understand how your bank works. Maybe you need to have a large amount of money transferred. See how the wiring of funds happens. What information do you need? Who do you have to talk to? Maybe get a phone number of someone in the bank. And also, once you get your bank account here in the Philippines, make sure you know what the SWIFT code is. They're a little bit different here with the international banks. They use a SWIFT code instead of a routing number. While you're transferring from your bank to a Philippine bank, it's more expensive, it's more time consuming, it takes longer, but I think it's much safer if it's a very large amount of money. You know, you're transferring, 2 million pesos or 20,000 USD. I think it's just a safer way to go. More safeguards built into the system. But for small things, your monthly budget, $1,000, $2,000, World Remit to me is quick and easy, but you can use Zoom or Wise or any of these other companies. But make sure you're signed up before you leave your home country. You have access to it. It's easier to do when you're in the US to sign up for World Remit, Zoom, Wise, PayPal. It's easier to get all set up. Once you're here in the Philippines, it's a little bit harder because the ID they want has to correspond with your American address. And again, you're 8,000 miles away in case there's any problems. Let's talk about ATM withdrawals here in the Philippines. If you're using your US bank account, ATM card, you're going to have limited amounts of money that you can withdraw per transaction from every bank, and every bank's different. The vast majority is 10,000 is the max, and you can take out multiple times, but each time there's a service fee, 250 pesos per withdrawal, plus whatever your bank charges, plus the transaction fees, plus the conversion fees, from dollars to pesos and all that. It gets to be very expensive. Having a Philippine bank account, I have BDO again. I use my debit card. I can take 50,000 pesos out per day from a BDO ATM machine, but that's in multiple transactions. They have a maximum of 25,000 pesos per transaction, and I can do 2 transactions in a row and get my 50,000. If you have more than one account and you have more than one ATM card or debit card, for one for each bank account, you could probably get 100,000 pesos every day. That's here in the Philippines using the local bank and their debit card. If you're using a foreign bank account and you're using an ATM machine and you're using that debit card, it's a little bit more expensive. If you have Charles Schwab, you're going to get reimbursed. But the inconvenience of using ATMs here in the Philippines, they run out of money. Sometimes they're just broke down. The internet's out, so they can't process the transaction. And that dreaded Friday night at 6 o'clock, you put your debit card in there and it eats your card. What can you do? So make sure you have more than one way to get your money. Here's something that really surprised me when I went into the bank. I'm getting ready to leave the country and I wanted to have some US dollars. So I told them, can I get 2,000 USD out of my peso account? Can you take the equivalent amount of pesos out and let me buy dollars? And they said no. To do that, I need to have a plane ticket and my passport. So you got to show that you're leaving the country to convert your pesos in your peso account to dollars. Now, if you have a dollar account, you can take the dollars out anytime. That's a separate account just for dollars. So I learned in this bit here, I'm going to have to increase the amount of money I have in my dollar account so I have access to more USD without going through the hassle of having to have my plane ticket. And then once I have the plane ticket and I have my passport, I can go to the bank and I can transfer as many pesos as I want into dollars. I don't know why that is, but it's just the rule here. Also, there's a limit to how much money you can take out of your bank account at a time. I was reading on Dumaguete Facebook. There's a Facebook expat group, and a guy wanted to buy a car, and he went to the bank. He went to BDO Bank to get 2 million pesos. They wouldn't let him have it. They wouldn't let him have the cash. He had to go back to the dealer. He didn't say what he did, but I know you have to go back to the dealer. You have to get a bill of sale or a letter from the dealership saying that you're buying this car and the car is this much. But here in the Philippines, the BDO bank, you can go and get a bank check. You can get a counter check for the amount. Why walk around with 2 million pesos in a bag around the Philippines? It's better to you get a bank check, or even with the dealership or someone you're doing a large purchase with. Have them do a wire transfer. You know, something safer. Here in the Philippines, I think it's safe to carry money, especially here in Dumaguete. I've walked around with a lot of money when I bought the property. You know, we had a lot of money in our bag to go pay for it. But there's no reason to. There's no reason to. You can go get a bank check, have the people come with you to the bank and make the withdrawal and give it to them directly and have some sort of receipt. We use our attorney. Our attorney writes a letter to the bank saying they need to withdraw this much money for this reason. And it covers everything. But this is new. It just happened October 7th. Now let's talk about how your money is insured in your Philippine bank. It used to be 500,000 pesos. I did a live stream the other week and I told everybody it was 500,000 pesos. No, it's gone up. Back in March, it went up to 1 million pesos per depositor per bank. So if you have 3 accounts in BDO and you have 1 million in each account, you're only insured for 1 million. If you have 3 different banks, if you have a Bank of the Philippine Islands and a Metro Bank account and a BDO bank account, I think you're covered for 1 million in each bank. It's each depositor is insured for 1 million one time. It's not each account. So spread your money around. Double check with an attorney that I'm correct on that. If you have 3, 4, 5 million pesos here in a Philippine bank, do something to protect yourself just in case. Just in case. Safety deposit boxes, are they available? You can get safety deposit boxes in the bigger banks here in the Philippines. But you have to have a regular checking account or savings account with a minimum of 500,000 pesos in that account. That's what they told me. The monthly fee for these safety deposit boxes, they come in all different sizes, just like back home, and it's not high. The cost for these boxes, you know, maybe 1,000 pesos a year or 5,000 pesos a year. It's not much, but you need to have a minimum balance in the bank account of 500,000 pesos before you can get a safety deposit box. So let's talk about the nightmare of having your Social Security check deposited here in a Philippine bank or anywhere in the world at a foreign bank, a non-US bank, not located in the United States, but in a foreign country. You're going to get that deposit early. You're going to get it around the 3rd of the month. Since the shutdown, there's a couple guys who got their payment on the 6th. I don't know if it was something on their end, was a problem here in the Philippines or a problem in the US, but they got it within 3 days. They usually get it on the 3rd, they got it on the 6th. Be prepared for a slight delay at all times, even if the government is open. Philippine banks go on holidays. The American banks, they have holidays, long weekends. You just don't know when they coincide, and then all of a sudden you have combined holidays of like 3 days, so you have to wait longer. Be prepared for a little bit of delay. But you have to open a special bank account, and that bank account is only for your Social Security deposit. Now that bank account also does not come with a debit card. You have to go in person to pull the cash out. So once a month, you have to go to the bank. You have to make that withdrawal. It seems like it's an extra layer of protection for the U.S. government of proof of life, because you have to show up there in person to make the withdrawal. Your spouse can't, nobody else can. You have to go. Now, I don't know if you're disabled and you get a power of attorney from the lawyer. That's something you have to talk to the banks about. But in general, you have to go in person to take it out. And also, you have to go to the branch you opened it up at. So if you have it at, like I do at BDO, here in Dumaguete and I'm up in Cebu and I need to get some money out of that account, I have no access to that Social Security money. I have to wait till I get back into Dumaguete and go to that branch and withdraw that money. Now, how does that affect you if you move? Say you leave Dumaguete and I want to go live in Bohol. I have to go to a new bank, go through Social Security to register a new bank account and get that started. So it's a lot of hassle. It's best if you can have it deposited in your U.S. bank. Make that one withdrawal every month, have it sent over by, bank transfer, cash pickup. But some people find it just more convenient. They don't mind going to the bank. They're living where they're going to live for the rest of their lives in the Philippines. So they don't mind. That's their once a month trip to go, get their money, go shopping, do what they have to do. It's a family outing. But that's the one negative to having your money sent here is you have to pick it up in person. No ATM card. You have to go into the bank itself and get it. And you have to go to the branch that you open that account up at. So the pros to having your Social Security sent here into the Philippines is it's safe, it's insured, especially for the long-term expat. You're going to be here a long time. It eliminates transfer delays and any extra fees in transferring your money from the U.S. to here into the Philippines. I know some expats can buy a car on credit. They can buy a motorcycle on credit if they have the right type of visa. Maybe with your spouse, you want to mortgage and buy a house and make payments on that. By having this financial credibility or a steady income coming in every month that the bank can verify, it helps your credit here in the Philippines. The big cons here with having a bank account, one, the access to your money is sort of restricted. If you want more than 500,000 pesos, you got to get a letter. If you want your peso account and you want to change it over to a dollar account, it seems like you have to leave the country. It's just inconvenient. Online banking is good, but because of the internet service here, and it goes down quite often, if you're banking and it goes down, or you need to do some banking and the internet goes down, or the power goes down, there's a lot of interruptions. There's a lot of negatives to banking here in the Philippines, but the convenience and the safety make up for it. And I think you're going to find it better, more reliable. I love using my BDO debit card. I go grocery shop and I can use my debit card, large purchases, and I have no extra fees using a local debit card. All right, guys, let me know what you think about this down in the comments section. Would you ever have your Social Security sent here in the Philippines? I'm starting to think it's not a great idea, but it's the bet I've made. Until next time.